Hello everyone, today is Wednesday, March 27th. It's 8:01 p.m. It's about 4 hours after the regular session close. You can see my computer clock on my right, and on my left is the time in sales, the E-mini S&P currently trading at 2804.50. Pretty good day for the auto trader. First up is the NASDAQ on a 987 line break chart. And I've been talking about line break charts with our daily range filter, and the reason this works is trades in the other direction are ignored. It goes in the direction of the trend, and so this started out with a couple winners and losers, and quickly came up to its goal here with this larger winning trade. You can see there was a couple of losers here, small losers, and the goal on this is 1230. It did 1230. The goal is 1300. Probably had some slippage, but what I want to show you is you can see the beginning of the daily range here at 9:30, the market open on this bar, and here's our opening range filter. So any trade below this will only go short, no longs below this line. And you can see how the market developed during the day. And if you look at this here, do you think this trade would have got filled? Absolutely. Had we had a higher goal, probably would have caught a portion of this move, and again avoided these long trades. But still, this worked out. It hit its goal, and this opening range filter is proving to be a pretty nice filter for the auto trader. Next, we have the NASDAQ on a 1597 Heikin-Ashi chart. We've seen this quite a bit. This had a small loser here, only drew down about 175 per contract, and then came back with a single winning trade and hit its goal. It finished at 1290. The goal is 1250. So we had positive slippage on this trade. You can see the indicators signals here pretty good. And I've been showing a lot on the NASDAQ because I have a client that's qualified for a combine using the NASDAQ and the crude oil. Had an interview with him today, but the audio didn't come out, so hopefully he will agree to redo the interview. One of the things that he mentioned was that he had a competing auto trader. I'm not going to say who, but he had a problem with overfills. Overfills is a very dangerous situation where you get an extra contract or more on the execution of an order. It's where the exchange fills your order before the signal is reached. In other words, your software sends a signal and the exchange fills the order. So there has to be special programming in the software to guard against any orders being sent before instructions are received, to make sure that you're flat. In other words, your software should not send a signal unless it receives instructions from the exchange that you're absolutely flat. The auto trader does have that built into it, and we're probably one of the only, if not the only, automated software that has that kind of a feature. Everything else is subject to overfills. That's why you see some vendors now offering ATMs, which you have to do manually. They can't get the automation quite right because of overfills. There's a huge forum on the NinjaTrader forum. There's a lot of posts devoted to overfills and people's frustration with trying to program their strategies to avoid overfills. The problem with it is it requires a pretty advanced programming knowledge to program your software to cover all the contingencies that can happen when your software is trying to communicate with the exchange. Okay, the bonds. Once again, our opening range filter. This has pretty tight money management, and there's a reason I do. Is because sometimes these trades like this are really tight, but a couple of ticks in the bonds is a couple $100. So even if you only make 4 ticks, and I'm basically trailing by the volatility stop here after 4 ticks, and that adds up. So you can see these little trades basically added up to $1,000. The goal on this is $1,000 and a tick in the bonds. So this definitely hit its goal. And we've seen this chart quite a bit on the bonds. Line break working really well. If I had loose money management, what we might have here is a break even or a loss of a tick. Same here, you know, it might exit at the first red bar. But this trade here would have been a much larger winner. But I think we're okay with the tight money management and avoiding losing trades in these kind of tight situations. Okay, another chart of the NASDAQ on a 987 Heikin-Ashi chart, and this doesn't look like much here, but these three trades added up to 1160. The goal on this is 1250, so probably had some slippage here because of the way Heikin-Ashi bars form. Okay, so this is the first time I've ever run a 1-minute chart in the E-mini S&P, and I did this because of the open range filter and how good it's been showing. So I wanted to try this on a 1-minute chart, and again, you can see the equity curve here. Here's the open of the market at 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central, and we had a long trade right off the open, and then a couple of really small winners here. It looks like a long and a short back to back. There was a loser here, but a small loser because I have very tight settings here, and then it looks like a short trade. Actually, this is short, and the money management on this is pretty tight. So let's just take a look here. For money management, once again, like the bonds, I'm trailing by the volatility stop, which is the little hash marks here. And the good thing about this is if it closes out because of a reversal, you get a pretty good exit out of it. So really tight stops here. The goal here is only $800. I'm basically looking for a few ticks on each trade. 4 to 8 ticks. And so the goal 800. This did 925. So obviously we had really nice slippage on this chart. So first time out of the gate, this 1-minute chart showed pretty favorable with the open range filter. Okay, another open range filter chart, this time on the NASDAQ on a 5-minute chart. And this started off with a couple of losers, a very small loser here, and then a long that went below the open of the day here, and this was closed out. And we drew down $650 or so. It's about $325 per contract. But then we came back with this really nice short trade here, filled on our limit order. This is a limit fill with a 20-tick pullback, so pretty steep. That's 20 ticks is 4 points in the NASDAQ, so all in all, not that much. But nevertheless, 20-tick pullback got filled. A pretty high goal on this, 3,500. Probably shouldn't be that high. This made an equity high of about 1,600, as you can see here. And towards the end of the day, late in the day, we had a losing trade here, and that brought us back to finish at 750, unfortunately. Still a decent showing for the day. Okay, the opening range filter again. This time on the E-mini S&P Superenco 4-tick with a 2-tick higher time frame. So this just had looks like a single trade, hit its profit target, and the goal on this 750. And so this hit its goal and had a couple ticks of slippage and finished at 725. Basically hit its goal. Okay, the bonds on a 1-minute line break chart, again, our open range filter showing really strong today. I have a couple more charts with open range filter. The idea of just going long above the market open or only short if you're below the open is a valid concept in trading and is one of the ways to avoid noise or chop as every trader's trying to do. And you can see on this chart how it avoided this kind of sideways action here. A trade in the other direction was ignored, and it only took the long trades in the direction of the trend on the bonds. There was a losing trade here, but this did 1,062.50, and the goal on this is 1,032, which is $1,000 is a full point in the bonds plus one tick. And so we had one tick of positive slippage, and these are really nice trades. A really small losing trade here, no big deal, but three nice winners in the direction of the trend, really nicely catching the swings here. Really good money management. Looking at our trail stops, once again trailing by the volatility stop, and then once we hit 17 ticks we switched to bars. So this one hitting its goal with positive slippage. Okay, the E-mini S&P on a 5 Renko chart, and this started off with a couple of losers right here, and the drawdown was about $600. So we recovered from this drawdown with these two really nice winners. You can see the open range filter here. This did 912.50 for the day, and the goal on this is 900, so we had one tick of positive slippage. Really nice trading on this chart. Okay, next is the E-mini S&P on a Super Renko 4 tick with Super Renko 8 higher time frame. And the higher time frame is another way of avoiding noise or trades in the opposite direction, the direction you don't want, as seen here. And this reached its goal. The goal on this 750, and we did 775. So again, positive slippage on two trades. We don't always have slippage that's negative. Okay, 34 tick line break chart on the bonds is kind of magnifies the swings somewhat. This is also using our open range filter, ignoring exits because we got red bars. This had a mix of winners and losers, recovered from its drawdown, and did not get stopped out, and ended up plus 343.75 for the day. Okay, next up is the gold contract, a modest gain of 360 on two trades here, three trades. There was a loser here. This drew down about 150 per contract. Okay, the crude oil on a 2-minute chart. I find it difficult to trade on minute charts because there's so much action and noise. But the open range filter, as I've previously stated, helps you to avoid trades in the wrong direction. And while this only did 270 today, this is the first time I plotted this on the crude open range 2-minute, and pretty tight money management. Once again, trailing by the volatility stop with as little as 5 ticks, and then tightening it up. This only has an $800 goal, so it did 270 today. Still not too shabby. The equity high, though, was about 500. You can kind of see the trades here. This might be improved a little bit, maybe by adjusting the sensitivity, maybe a little bit more pullback on the limit order. I have a limit order at the close of the bar, 0 ticks pullback. So I want to get filled. This last trade was really nice here, as you can see. This has a lot of potential, this open range filter, no doubt. Okay, our Super Renko 8 tick had a modest gain of 150 for the day. This using our line break logic. And we started off with a loser. It drew down about 200 per contract and then recovered with this trade here, finished at 150. That's all for today's video. Thanks for watching.